Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro met with Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, with the aim of strengthening cooperation mechanism and the bonds of friendship between the two countries. The national strike and demonstrations called by the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities of Ecuador entered its third day. Their struggle ratifies a 10-point plan of demands on economic issues and rights. The U.S. government aims in an official document financing 46 billion biological labs in Ukraine. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, held a meeting this Wednesday with the Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. The meeting took place at the Royal Palace of Qatar, during which the leaders reviewed bilateral relations with a view of strengthening cooperation mechanism and the bond of friendship between the two countries. In this context, the Venezuelan president and the Qatari emir discussed the promotion of common projects as well as the vision of regional and international issues. The Venezuelan head of state visits Qatar as part of an international tour to promote the construction of a multipolar world and boost cooperation in areas such as science, technology, agriculture, transportation, energy, tourism, and culture. This Wednesday, high government officials and representatives from diplomatic mission in Antigua and Barbuda commemorated the first anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations with the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. Representatives from Latin America and the Caribbean nations posed in the islands countries attend a flag-raising ceremony held to mark the special occasion. Among the high government officials present were the Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Venezuelan Ambassador to Antigua and Barbuda, Carmen Velázquez, ambassadors representing Cuba, the Dominican Republic, the People's Republics of China, as well as other officials on the country's defense forces and staff of Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Prime Minister Brown highlighted the unbreakable state of bilateral relations between both nations.
This year marks an important milestone as we commemorate the 40th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Antigua and Barbuda and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. On this very day in 1982, Antigua and Barbuda and Venezuela formally established diplomatic relations, laying the groundwork for multifaceted cooperation and unbreakable ties. While the world has significantly changed since 1982, the Antigua and Barbuda-Venezuela relationship and friendship continue to remain ironclad. And I emphasize ironclad. In other words, unbreakable.
The Peruvian Congress decided to initiate proceedings against the Vice President Daniel Boluarte and is requesting 10 years of disqualification for alleged violation of the Constitution. The report declaring the constitutional complaint against Boluarte admissible was approved with 9 votes in favor, 3 against, and 2 abstentions. The decision comes after the General Comptroller Office of the Republic issued a report stating that the official is accused of having incurred in violation of Article 126 of the Constitution. Boluarte is accused of having signed documents as the president of a Purimat Department Club in spite of her position as minister. For the time being, the designation of the point is expected, a hearing to listen to the arguments of Boluarte and the complaints. The final reports must be submitted to the Permanent Commission of them to the full Parliament. Union organizations of the education sector in Uruguay are mobilizing in defense of public education and in rejection of the deterioration of their work condition. The Educators Union is mobilizing as part of a nation's strike to demand a budget increase for the sector. The demands respond to budget cuts of at least $80 billion for the years of 2021 and 2022, which caused salary losses of 8% and the elimination of jobs. The teachers also criticized the non-compliance with the collective bargaining arguments and the government's intentions of an educational transportation without teachers' participation. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back. In Ecuador, demonstrations in the framework of the indefinite national strike called by the Confederation of Indigenous Nationalities against the policies of Guillermo Lazo's government continue on its third day. Different social movements and civil societies take to the streets in rejection of the citizens' security, the increase of basic products and fuel prices, budget cuts in education and health, among others. Transportation workers joined to the call to demand the revision of heavy transport rates and subsidies. On the other hand, members of parliament expressed their solidarity with the rallies and gathering in several cities of the country, calling for dialogue in search of solutions to the demands of the people. The U.S. Federal Reserve announced Wednesday the most aggressive interest rate increase in nearly 30 years, raising the benchmark borrowing rate by 0.75 percentage points as the battling against surging inflation. The Federal Policy and Federal Open Market Committee reaffirmed that it remains strongly committed to returning inflation to its 2% objective and expected to continue to rise the key rate. Until recently, the central bank seems to approve a 0.5 percentage point increase, but economists say the rapid surges in inflation put the feet behind the curve. Committee members now see the federal funds rate ending to the year of 3.4 from 1.9 protection in March, according to the median currently forecast.
The labor market is extremely tight, and inflation is much too high. Against this backdrop, today the Federal Open Market Committee raised its policy interest rate by 0.75 of a percentage point and anticipates that ongoing increases in that rate will be appropriate.
The United States government admitted it maintains military biological labs on Ukraine's territory as part of an agreement with that nation. In a document published on its website, the U.S. Defense Department lists a set of military projects which will be aimed to reducing the threat of the production of weapons of mass destruction. The publication also detailed that during the last 20 years, the United States have provided support of 46 biological facilities in Ukraine that will be designated to collaborate with nuclear and radiological security. These facilities were developed in secret, and their existence was repeatedly denied by Washington until the Russian military operation exposed them. This Wednesday, Chinese President Xi Jinping held a phone conversation with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. During their conversation, President Xi noted that since the beginning of this year, bilateral relations have been maintained and sound development momentum in the face of global turbulences and changes. The Chinese president said China is willing to work with Russia to promote solidarity and cooperation among emerging market countries and developing nations and push for the development of the international order and global governance towards a more just and reasonable direction. For his part, President Putin said Russia supports the China Prosperous Global Security Initiative and opposes any force trying to interfere in China's internal affairs on such spreads as Xinjiang, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. The 25th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum opened on Wednesday in Russia's second largest city. Under the themes of new opportunities in a new world, this year's forum is attended by representatives of more than 90 countries and regions, according to the forum organizers. The participants will discuss issues regarding the global and Russian economies, the digitalization, and information security. While addressing the forum plenary session, Russian President Vladimir Putin will assess the current global situation and underline the future direction of the country's economic development. Since 1997, the forum has become a leading global platform for the business community to discuss critical economic issues facing Russia, emerging markets, and the world. We have more news coming up after this final short break, so don't go away. Welcome back. Heat wave intensifies in Spain and will reach its highest peak this Wednesday. Weather experts report that temperatures will reach 43 degrees Celsius in some regions of the country. The authorities specify that this is the worst heat wave felt in the nation in the last 20 years and added that the natural phenomenon will extend until Saturday. The areas most affected by the high temperatures are Andalusia, Aragon, Castilla and León, Castilla-La Mancha, Extremadura, Madrid, and Catalonia. The experts explain that in the coming days, the clash of cold and warmer masses will contribute to lower the temperatures. Spanish meteorologists warn that in the future more heat wave could develop. The spokesman for the state meteorological agency, Rubel del Campo, assured that heat wave in the country have doubled during the last decade and clarified that in the next 30 years, temperatures will continue to rise to the point that current levels will be considered cold. The Climate and Health Group of the East Global Institute warned that heat wave-related deaths in the country could exceed 14,000 between 2035 and 2064. The World Health Organization said on Wednesday Europe remains the epicenter of the global monkeypox outbreak, which poses a real risk with more than 1,500 cases reported in the region. The health body already announced on Tuesday that it will hold an emergency meeting next week to determine whether to classify the outbreak as a public health emergency of an international concern.
Europe remains the epicenter of this escalating outbreak, with 25 countries reporting more than 1,500 cases, or 85% of the global total. The magnitude of this outbreak poses a real risk. The longer the virus circulates, the more it will extend its reach, and the stronger the disease's foothold will get in non-endemic countries.
Nigerian soldiers have found one of the more than 200 schoolgirls abducted by the Boko Haram group 8 years ago in the conflict from northeast, the military said on Wednesday. The military said on Twitter that troops on patrol had found the young woman, Marion Goshe, carrying a baby near Goshe village on Tuesday. The attack on a girls' boarding school in the town of Chibok in 2014 and the mass kidnapping that followed spread international outreach and global campaign called Bring Back Our Girls. Of the 276 pupils aged 12 and 17 who were adopted by the military on April 2014, 57 of the girls managed to escape by jumping off trucks they had been hung up. Since the Chibok school mass abduction, militias have carried out several mass abductions and deadly attacks on schools in northern Nigeria. Over 3,000 people in Burkina Faso, mostly children, fled the northern village of Seitinga after an attack carried out by unidentified assailants, according to the eyewitness to Carnage began last Saturday in the town in northern Burkina Faso, a few kilometers from Niger.
They came at night. I was in my house in a room, and I heard the shots. They raided all the stores. They came with 2 vehicles and a bunch of tricycles and started shooting. They were killing people everywhere, everywhere. That's why I moved out the next morning.
Thousands of Congolese demonstrated in the street of Goma to protest against Rwanda's support for the M23 rebels and showed their support for the armed forces of the Democratic Republic of the Congo engaged on several fronts in the east of the country.
Rwanda has been attacking us for 20 years. Today we ask for the vigilance of the population. Today we all stand up for the cause of the nation, and we are behind the FARC, our armed forces who are fighting to put the enemy out of action. Rwanda is attacking us, and today we tell Kagame to stop playing with the Congolese.
Our government must know that the Congolese army is infiltrated. All these infiltrators must be driven out of the army and the police. If they succeed, then the DRC will have the strength to beat these Rwandan soldiers who are causing us so much suffering.
teleSUR Spanish signaled when a new satellite parameters since more than ever that were connected to us, and our stories are being heard all around the world. These parameters are in place since June the 1st in Latin America and the Caribbean, both in English and Spanish, and quite soon further changes will be implemented for the signal in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. This new multi-platform will continue providing trustful content to oppose the hegemonic media's narrative and our faithfulness to our audience. And with that story, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. From teleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero, and thank you for watching.